Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel, Moon Love Astrology. I'm Erica, your resident host and astrologer. And we got a lot to discuss. It's a big full moon coming up. We got the full moon in Pisces, and it's also an eclipse. So it's a lot, and plus there's a lot of aspects to the moon, so there's a lot happening. So let's get started. So tomorrow at around 9:18 Pacific time. We're going to be, this one, the full moon is in full effect. We're actually like in the realm of the full moon right now. Usually, we usually give it like a start as we're creeping up toward like the main event. So it'll be exactly full at 9:18 p.m. tomorrow Pacific Standard Time. I mean, daylight time, sorry. And full moon in Pisces. I like to characterize it as well, in terms of talking about the full moon is like when the moon is at its height. So it's the most magnified, it's at its height, it's at a climax, it's some kind of conclusion, it's some sort of like big event with regard to when it's full, right? The moon is shining its brightest in the sky, and it's like shining light on the shadows and everything that we have that's gone internally. It has to do with our intuition, our emotions, our feelings, and then the way that our body reacts. So, like, if you like something happens and it's like internally, so it's like goosebumps, chills. So, all those things are ruled by the moon. So, when we're feeling the physical and like emotional reactions, intuition, and when we have the full moon in Pisces, it's also like very psychic as well. So that the intuition is at its height. Like it's like you're almost, like psychic. And so when we add the eclipse onto that, it's like even greater. So if the full moon is already at its magnificent as at its greatest, and then you have the eclipse on top of that, it's just like out of control. So we are beyond sensitive, and the eclipse also brings about things very quickly. Sometimes they happen suddenly, sometimes they happen like in a more exaggerated way. And so when we're experiencing that in Pisces, it's like our sense our our sensitivity is like at a height. So it's a very emotional time with Pisces in particular. It's really about spiritual awakenings. It's about sort of transcending how like we operate on Earth. It's our spiritual, our higher selves, our higher beings, connection with spirit, connection with our spirit guides, connection with our ancestors. So all those things are super heightened, and the communication between the two is greater. And especially when you're talking about communication, um, the full moon in terms of also like when it's full, whenever you have a full moon, that means that the sun and the moon are in opposition to each other. And so this full moon, the sun is conjunct Mercury. So we also have Mercury involved in this directly in this full moon. And so when talking about that, um, communication, communicating, talking, writing, all the ways in which we sort of transmit information. And so coupling that with Pisces, it's like it's a really good time to do a lot of spiritual work, a lot of communication with ancestors, ancestral veneration, um, that kind of thing, because the portal for us to communicate between us and spirit is like really heightened and really like at an optimum time right now. Um, and also aspected with the full moon, we also have Chiron. Chiron is currently in Taurus, and it's at the very beginning degrees of Taurus. I think it's actually still at 0 degrees in some minutes. And so that is also influencing this full moon. Chiron is we label that as the wounded healer. And so basically what that means is that um, wounds that we have, even though it's something that we never heal from, it's a kind of like a reminder that sort of taps us into our wisdom of like how we were hurt, but we've also used that for good, for helping others, for healing others, for being able to impart that wisdom to other people. So like I've had this experience, I've grown from that. I still know how it feels so that I can still be in touch and communicate with you about it, but I'm not actively in it, but it still informs the way that I go about things. So when you're talking about wounding in the Taurus energy, it's about value, self-worth, what sustains you, like what you value, what you hold dear, what you hold as a foundation for you, what keeps you stabilized, what keeps you grounded. And so when you have wounds regarding that, it's like questions about self-worth, wounds that you have in regard to stability, ways in which you have built in a way that maybe it's like ways of looking at your self-worth that have like maybe caused you pain. Maybe there's some shame around your self-worth and what you're doing and like maybe like that affecting your confidence. So when you're pairing that up with the full moon and it being at its height, um, it just makes you extra sensitive and you sort of kind of like become aware of like issues regarding that. Then we also have the moon conjunct the node. And so that's also a really strong pull. The node in traditional astrology, the node is about like where we are almost driven and compelled to like something that's almost driving us, something that we don't really have control of in that area of our life, whatever house that's in for you. So wherever in your chart you have, I think it's at the last degree of Aquarius. I think it's at the crisis degree of 29 degrees. You have the node in crisis mode in Aquarius. And so when you have that node there, it's about um, being compelled in ways that are Aquarian. Um, and it's a very detached place. And it's kind of complicated because in Uranian astrology, the node is about intimate connections. And so when it's in Aquarius, it's about the almost like it's a drawing to that, it's a binding, but dealing with it in a detached way. So it's kind of a lot of chaos. It's kind of chaotic because we have this very emotional, intuitive sign that's in Pisces. We have Taurus and Pisces coming together and they're forming a sextile, which means that they kind of facilitate how the other operates. It's like a supportive thing. Like if you think about the elements, Pisces is water, earth, Taurus is earth. And so earth gives a place for water to land, and water nourishes earth and helps it to be fertile, to grow things, right? So it's a way that they facilitate their energy. They're not the same because it's like water and earth, but they facilitate how they operate together and they work well together. And then you have Aquarius, which is air, which kind of disrupts that flow. And Aquarius in particular adds an element of a detachment to that. So you have almost like a kind of like being sort of detached from how you feel, like look kind of almost looking from the outside in and like having complicated feelings around how much more emotion that is. So people around you being really super emotional, maybe you can't deal with that right now. You're dealing with your own emotions. So there might be like a little bit of a detachment, and then you might feel that pull the detachment from others. And then another aspect, it's a lot going, I told you it's a lot going on with this full moon. We also have Uranus in the mix. And so um, Uranus isn't currently in Gemini. And so that's forming a square with the moon. And so Uranus is really about, it's about breaking with the status quo. So that comes with a lot of chaos. It could be chaotic. It also is like Uranus adding it to mix is almost like an electric shock. It's like it adds electricity, adds shock. So it could be shocking events, shocking a turn of events, sudden turn of events, something that just kind of comes out of the blue that you're not expecting. And so because of those energies kind of like battling with the back and forth, obviously it's a lot of chaos. You're dealing with that. But at the same time, having like figuring out a different way to do things in a more innovative, um, maybe you take unusual ways in which you communicate. I'm not sure, but it's really a lot of energy together. So in dealing with that, most of the time with eclipse, it also speeds up things. So you have like um energy where like something things are coming to a conclusion, things are coming to a halt, things are sort of like at a crossroads. And so it's not really a good time to take a whole lot of action. Um, it's really, since it's so chaotic, you have Virgo that in the mix. So you have Sun and Moon, Sun and Mercury in Virgo. And Virgo is in opposition to Pisces. So Virgo wants to get things in order. Virgo wants to organize. So you have this goal, like the sun is sort of like here in the daylight, it's shining, it's on you. It's like this is what is happening right now. This is what we are drawing our attention to. This is what we have on the spotlight. So Virgo wants to organize. With Mercury there, it's like communicating, um, sometimes in a more analytical way. Um, Virgo is like down to business. Let's get organized. Let's get this together. That's like a no nonsense type of communication. And you have Pisces, which is like boundaryless, like imagination, it's flow, it's creativity, it's like delusion. It could be like kind of going off of the beaten path. Like, it's like I said, it's a spiritual connection. So it's not so nuts and bolts the way that Virgo is. So we have these two dueling sides together with all these other energies just creating this chaos. So the best way to deal with energy during the full moon is to try to find some balance and integrate these two things. And so I for this and plus it's so heightened eclipses, you don't want to do a lot. You don't want to go outside. You don't want to look at the eclipse. You really want to be able to like have like a baseline and you kind of want to like stay in control of that. So you want to be able to like look at matters the way that they are, but you want to deal with them. You don't want to take any action right now. You want to be able to sort of like take things in, process, and then look at your situation and then move on from there. So that's why with Pisces being in conjunction with the node and in opposition to Mercury, it's a good time to do more of meditative type of communication. Like I said, seeking out communications with spirit guides, with ancestors. And what I would do is for mental clarity, because like I said, with Uranus in the mix, with Aquarius being in the mix, you really want to quiet the chaos and you want to be able to do the things so you do want to organize and maybe you want to do it in a more creative way. Maybe you want to like not do it in this like productive capitalistic type of way, but make it incorporate both a Piscean and a Virgo, merge those two things together because those are ways that you are organizing, you are or getting order and you're kind of like taking stock and scheduling and doing all that, but you're doing it at your own pace. You're doing it with a good vibe. So I would suggest a writing exercise and taking a bath. Whenever I talk about Pisces and full moon, my first go-to is take a bath. Like seriously, that's like the best thing you can do during a Pisces full moon. And so to satisfy like this need for you to kind of feel like you have this urge to get things in order, but also you're just drawn to sort of relaxing and letting your mind go, letting your imagination run with you. You can merge those things together. They can work together. So what I would suggest is for aromatherapy is great for this. So if you get oils like citrus type of oils, like grapefruit, lemon, orange, those types of things, or like peppermint and let's see, what's another good one for that, for clarity. Rosemary. There you go. Rosemary. Those are really great for mental clarity and then to sort of bring down the vibe and the energy so you have mental clarity without a whole lot of action, without like this like major focus, is combine that with something that's calming. So like lavender, chamomile, bergamot, vetiver, all those types of oils. Find a good combination between one of the oils for about mental clarity with one of the calming oils. I think I said chamomile, right? Lavender, chamomile, bergamot, vetiver, and then missing something. But anyway, like, or something that if you know that there's a scent that you use to like breathe in, breathe out, and calm, mix that with one of the ones that is about mental clarity. So you kind of get that balance, right? And then you could choose whether you want to take a bath first or if you want to write first. But I would do writing to sort of like kind of prevent a lot of overthinking. Just do put on like some nice music, whatever some music that is relaxing for you. Like nothing that's like will hype you up or get the party started to get lit. No, we need something that's more chill, more calming, relaxing, and nothing that makes you feel productive either. This is not the point of doing this. Like capitalists tell us that you have to be productive, order, take notes, do this, do that. And that's not what we're doing. We're satisfying our Virgo energy by doing something to get done, but doing it in a very Piscean way. So get your relaxation on, get your oils, get your music, sit in a comfortable place, and then just do free writing, like, and you can just do whatever. Like if you throw in, like, just clear your mind. Whatever's on your mind, just write. And don't be at a computer. Don't type any of this up. A journal, a piece of paper, a notepad, anything, and pen, because part of that is using your thing to write is about also releasing that energy. Because when you're typing, it's like that's really energetic. You want to be able to like have things flow from your mind all the way from down to your arm, your fingers, and onto the paper and just free flow. Whatever comes to mind, just write that. If it's a list of something, if it's some to do, if it's whatever it is, it's a poem, it's some ideas that you have for something that you really want to execute. And since this is a full moon and it's time of like execution, maybe that's something good to do too, like some ideas. Uranus is there, it's innovative, you get a sudden spark of genius, some ideas come to mind, and you're like, oh my God, like, and you just don't know, like, but let that flow because that's the best way for that to come through. And then the second thing is take just the calming oil and use that in the bath. So, like I said, you could either do the bath first, bring yourself down, and then do the writing, or you can do the writing, and then after you're done writing, take a bath. Whatever order you want to do it, it's up to you. But that is, I think, the best way to um, really be able to flow with this energy, with this full moon. Like I said, it's a lot going on. There's also other aspects happening. I will go through that in another video. We have Mars in a square with Saturn, which is some tough energy. We have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto in a cluster. Uranus and Pluto are in a trine, and they're both sextile to Neptune and Aries. And so, once again, it's the same type of energy that we had with the sextile with uh, Taurus and Pisces, but it's a different one. It's air and fire. So, air facilitates um, fire to be able to grow, and then fire warms up air, makes things more like moves the molecules. So there's a lot of energy in those two. So you also have that energy happening with the three of those, and those are outer planets. They're slower moving, so the energy is more pervasive. It's like slower, but it creeps in and it's like out over time, which is like very strong, heavy energy. Like I said, we have the square between Mars. Mars is currently in Cancer, and when Mars is in Cancer, I like to call that the mama bear. Mars is the mama bear because you have that energy, that fight, that warrior spirit. And you have Cancer moon, which is nourishing. That's why I call it the mama bear. And you have that square with Saturn in Aries, which is very it's a little bit of a tough square. So we will talk about that next time. And I think there might be a couple other more minor aspects, but we will talk about that. So in the meantime, get your ride on, get your bath on, and take care. And until next time, I'll thank you.